responsibility for at such an early start. So that was very painful, very hard, but I think it like also was very important and taught me a lot about like how and that ownership factor, that responsibility, and kind of pushes you to give your best, to go to push yourself to the edge and actually give out the best in you. Startups are also move really fast, so there's a fast feedback loop. If you do something, you can release it out tomorrow, and then you get feedback the day after. So things move really fast in startups. um, then we have this after that I moved to crypto, very completely different world. People there were crazy about crypto at that point. People were very passionate about it. People said this is the next big thing in the world. This was like a few years back. And again, I learned how like passion is such an important part in the people's career, because in crypto, all my colleagues were like extremely passionate about that field. And I was working in a very security sensitive role as well, where हर दूसरे तीसरे दिन हमें खबर मिल रही थी कि कोई एक crypto exchange hack हो गया. So like the security was such very important. So everything we had to do, we had to make sure it's very tight, it's buttoned up, it's very secure, because hackers were attacking everyone during that stage. Then I moved and worked into finance. Now you can see the pattern. It's completely different. What I learned in startup wasn't applicable in crypto. What I learned in crypto wasn't applicable in fintech. So completely different. But every fee, every one of these companies had very important and unique things to teach me. Finance, may I learned how like tech can actually make a bank, help banks make millions of dollars. Like how basically उससे automation इतनी ज़्यादा बढ़ जाती है कि literally banks को millions of dollars बचते हैं because of tech. So how much of an impact that has. And I also learned about finance. That was completely different. मैंने कभी finance नहीं पढ़ी थी. A lot about finance. It was interesting. It was something मुझे लगता था जो बहुत मुश्किल है, लेकिन I think it was something that trained my brain. मैंने ये कभी knowledge इस्तेमाल नहीं की दोबारा, लेकिन I think that the whole aspect of learning a completely new thing, completely new field was very useful. And then eventually I moved to core tech, which is at Google. यहाँ पे I work at very high scale environment. My particular team is responsible for literally making all the Google services run. So I work at a very core team जिसके जो make sure करती है कि YouTube, Docs, Gmail, Photos, जो भी Google की services सारी, Google Search सारी properly run हो for everyone in the globe. So we need high scalability, high reliability. It's again very different things, but I think the key point is that don't be afraid to try out new things at this point, and don't be like, go ahead and learn and work in different environments, learn different things. Don't try to specialize too early. But I can guarantee you, in the end, everything will come together. Like when I work on some things, I can relate, अच्छा ये चीज मैंने वो startup में देखी थी, या ये चीज मैंने crypto में देखी थी. So I can, there are those like you eventually connect the dots, but वो बहुत बाद में होता है. शुरू में feel like I'm just wandering around, and it's completely fine. So don't be afraid to do that. Does that make sense? Please stop me अगर मेरी आवाज बंद हो जाए या फिर कुछ समझ नहीं आ रही. And again, I would be really happy to take any questions. Just unmute yourself, speak out loud, and I will answer your question. Okay, moving on now. Yeah, I work in Zurich. It's an amazing office. I love it. Love it there. We have amazing, really funky meeting rooms. There's a slide actually, which is pretty cool. The first day you go and take the slide. That's like a tradition. कि पहले दिन आपको ये slide लेनी होती है. But I work. I'd also ये सब के अलावा, I think my team is really cool. I really love the team I work in. It's an amazing team. We work on a distributed compute system. Google has one large system, and that's what I work on, and that runs everything else like Gmail, Docs, Photos. It's a bit like complicated to exactly explain मैं क्या करता हूँ, लेकिन in a single line, I build the core system that runs everything on Google. So it's pretty cool. So
Okay, Aslan, I have a fun
yeah,
question. I have heard in a blog that Zurich is one of the most expensive cities in the world. Is it
yeah.
true?
It is. Zurich is very, very expensive. I think
Okay.
Zurich, New York, and probably these are the two. Yeah, Zurich and New York. Probably these are the two more. Maybe one more, but these are the two very expensive cities. Exactly. So I'm surprised as well. Jab main gaya tha, I was shocked how expensive it is. So now eventually you get used to it. But yeah, everything is expensive. Like so, it has good and downsides to it as well. Like for example, it Zurich forced me to learn things that I would never have learned by myself. Like मैंने कभी जिंदगी में सोचा नहीं था मैं कुकिंग सीखूंगा. Now I make the best biryani in the world. So eventually I just you learn and you try to you learn these things because it's too expensive. So you go like अच्छा मैं खुद ही बना लेता हूँ. So yeah, you start cooking. You learn a lot of new skills. So I think it's good and bad in both ways. Okay. Any other questions on Zurich or on? Of course, I will talk about more things, but if any questions come up, just stop me. Acha, now the meat. Let's come to the meat part. How to build a successful career. Now, the G general, like I think कुछ points मैंने बताया कि a majority of it are very relatable to computer science students, but a lot of it you'll see it's very generic, and I'm pretty sure you'll be surprised. These are very basic things, and if you, but I guarantee you that if you nail these basic things, then you will have a successful career. You might have heard about these things. कुछ चीजें surprising नहीं होंगी, but I want to really emphasize on it, and because this is something that when I look back and I realize, okay, ये basic चीजें मैंने सही की हैं, and that's why I was able to get to this position. And a lot of the other people I've seen who are even more successful than me are, so I see the same patterns in them. ठीक है, तो दो चीजें, एक तो you need a mindset and how to build that mindset, how to have that, and secondly you need a strategy. We'll talk about both. uh, Question था एक कि नहीं?
No.
Okay, no worries. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the mindset. So I think this is a very core fundamental question, and I think university में पहले 2 साल खास तौर पे कभी कभी तीसरे साल में भी, actually throughout the university you will have this question in your head कि यार मैं career में क्या करूँ. Like computer science है, ठीक है, that's but computer science is a very broad field, right? It has like data science, it has software engineering, it has web applications, mobile applications, crypto, finance, fintech. Like it's crazy, बहुत ज़्यादा चीज़ें. लेकिन हाउ डू यू एक्चुअली फिगर आउट कि यार मैं क्या करूं? ठीक है, तो इसके लिए दो चीजें. पहला तो जैसे मैंने कहा है कि जस्ट डू समथिंग टू स्टार्ट विद. डजंट मैटर, समथिंग, डू समथिंग दैट जो कि अच्छा लग रहा है, जो कि सही लग रहा है. ऑनेस्टली you will it doesn't matter कि you are doing the right thing or not to start with. It's okay. You just make sure कि you do something, या तो उसमें बहुत मजा आ रहा हो, या उसके या किसी का फायदा हो रहा हो. अगर दोनों चीजें हो रही हैं तो वो बहुत अच्छी बात है. अगर दोनों चीजें नहीं हो रही तो कम से कम एक चीज होनी चाहिए उसमें से. ठीक है, या तो या तो it should feel like, as I say, it should feel like play. Like it should feel like play to you, but to others it's like work. So that's a very key thing. Yeah, yeah, you should deliver a lot of value to people. Okay, initially, as you do, as you know, because this is ये शुरू से किसी के पास पता नहीं होता. Some people end up finding that earlier, some people find it later, but it's very important to really to answer this question properly. uh, Everyone has natural curiosities. कुछ लोगों को होती है फिजिक्स पे होती है, कुछ भी कुछ सवाल होते हैं, या कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी को, कुछ लोगों को फोन्स को होता है कि फोन्स कैसे काम करते हैं, कैमरास कैसे काम करते हैं. कुछ लोग कैमरास का शौक होता है, कुछ लोगों को कुछ गाड़ियों का शौक होता है तो गाड़ियों का शौक हो सकता है, या फिर ऑडियो का शौक हो सकता है. तो लाइक whatever your curiosities are, let it explore and go deeper in it. Like if you like audio, or so you can try to dig deeper on how our audio is encoded and how to preserve quality, or how to sample audio, how to create new audio from scratch, like things like that. So there's a lot of, you can go a lot deeper into it. So let your, so ऐसे questions आते हैं तो like go ahead, look up YouTube, or search automatically, search on Google search to find answers, right? So let it explore. And secondly, Because the problem is the good part is that you will be a lot more motivated to do if you have that natural curiosity. You'll have a lot more energy and a lot more motivation, because eventually जो matter करता है वो ये करता है कि if you are really good at what you do or not. So now I the most common question by far I get is कि okay मैं data science करूँ या फिर मैं software engineering करूँ या मैं crypto करूँ या fintech में पढूँ या मैं ये वाली फील्ड करूँ या ये करूँ. Honestly, my general response is that, and what's I truly believe, it doesn't matter what you do. What matters is whatever you are one of the best in it, and that matters more. You can pick any field and you become really really good at it, and you will be very successful in that, 100%. Right? So and the only shot of being good at something is you have a very high motivation and very high energy. और वो कहाँ से आती है? वो आती है कि अगर natural curiosity भी उसी चीज की हो. Right? So that's why it's important. So you want to be really good at something, and for that it's much easier to be good at something if you're motivated towards it. And if you're motivated, motivation उसी चीज की होती है ज्यादातर, जहाँ पे you have some natural curiosity to investigate. So that at least that's how I would think about it. I know I'm not giving a clear answer, but ये do think about these points. Do ask yourself, अगर नहीं समझ आ रही तो look up your YouTube history, look up your Google searches, और उसमें से जो काम की चीजें हैं, just try to filter them and see, okay, I search about this a lot, I search about this thing a lot, I'm very curious about this thing, and try to go deeper in that area. Okay. Next, once you have done that, next thing you want to do is find people around you. Now this is very important, and especially it's also important, and it's also at this moment in your life is also easier. Whenever you find someone who is very high energy, very intelligent, who's someone you respect a lot, and someone who has like very high bar of integrity and intelligence, go work with them. Whether it's a senior, whether it's an industry expert, whether वो तो आप किसी और स्कूल में है और किसी और यूनिवर्सिटी में है, a neighborhood, doesn't matter. Like go try to find an excuse to work with them. Basic, it's free. Basic, doesn't the easiest way is if you find someone who's like way ahead of you, go to them and be like, I want to help you out for free. Whatever you do, whatever your projects you're doing, whatever work you're doing, I'll help you out in your project for free. I don't think a lot of people will say no to that, right? And but you will get something a lot more valuable than money, is the learning. It said learning, your learning speed will increase 10 times. So whatever you learn in 10 months, you learn in 1 month, right? It can be someone in your batch, in your classmate, in your class, someone who has explored more, who has high intelligence, high energy, a lot of respect. Intelligence is like a very different word. I think it's just different. Somebody who has like just put in more hours. I think somebody who knows more. Just go sit with them, talk to them, work with, try to find excuses to work with them. And again, I think I also know universities where there's this toxic culture of like competition. People are very competitive. People don't want to help others, and sometimes they don't, because they don't want others to get ahead of you. Trust me, this this is such a small vision, because in the long term, the pie, it's not a zero sum game. It can be that you both अगर 100 लोगों का बैच एक यूनिवर्सिटी में, it can be that all the 100 people become successful. It's totally possible to do that. It's ये नहीं है कि उसमें से eventually किसी दो नहीं होना है, या दो दो हो गए तो बाकी दो नहीं होंगे. That's not the case. In this world, success is not a zero sum game. Everyone, all of you can be successful. It's not, इसमें कोटा नहीं है, right? So do make sure to support each other and work with people that are really really important. I mean, you can again, university में जरूरी नहीं है, university से बाहर professors हो सकते हैं, people working already working in companies, people working in startups. You can reach out to on LinkedIn or wherever. Try to see and try to find ways to work with them. This is by far one of the most important points. Now, After you've done that, so you figure out what areas you want to explore, curiosity किस में है, ठीक है. You also have some people around you that have similar curiosity या फिर वो वैसे ही काम कर रहे हैं. Now what you do, you're in university, you're in third year, fourth year, or second year, whatever. First you learn basic programming, ठीक है. Just after you learn basic programming, just start building things. Now यहाँ पे भी don't think too much कि क्या बनाना है. In you after school, when you have time, after your classes, have your own project. Build anything. It can vary from a calculator to like a website that does something for people, so deliver some value. Chota side project. It गोल पैसे बनाना नहीं है. गोल सिर्फ है कि अच्छा, what do you think will be really fun and cool to build. It can be like a meme generator, it can be whatever, like whatever you feel is something you want to do, just build something. When you build an application from scratch, I think that is an enormous learning experience, and this is super valuable on your CV. When a candidate comes with a CV, and I see that, okay, that person has built this and this, and I can go and click on the link and I'll go actually see that thing. That's amazing, because I know it's hard to build something from scratch. So build it. Don't think too much कि क्या क्या बनाना है. अगर कुछ अच्छा आइडिया है, just commit to it, build it. It's not like your lifelong project. It will take like maybe 6 months to a year, whenever, whatever. Just build it, and then show it to the world. Show it to your other classmates. Show it to your professor. LinkedIn pe post karo, Facebook pe post karo, wherever you show it to the people. Show what you built. This will do two things. Ek to you'll actually build something useful in the world, right? That will be your contribution to the world, right? And secondly, you will learn a ton amount of stuff building that. And another bonus, CV pay looks amazing, right? So if you haven't done that already, if you're doing that, do more of that. Just start building things. You are builders. जो भी लोग कंप्यूटर साइंस पढ़ रहे हैं, you are builders inherently. Your main job in the world is to build things, build websites, build applications, software, build automation. So just start. The sooner you start doing it, the better it is. Um, Also, like people who are not doing computer science, they can also build things, because building may coding is just one aspect of it. You need to understand the require what to build, how to build it, what are the requirements, what are the user flows, how to design it. There's so many other non-technical tasks as well. So people who are not studying computer science as well, they should also build things. The two things I think are the two skills that are very important in I think in this life: building and selling. If you can do one, it's amazing. And if you somehow do both the things together, you are insane, you're unstoppable. If you do two things together, if you can do both the things. But one thing, I think it's like the basic necessity of life. Okay. All clear?
Yeah. So there
Okay.
are some questions in the chat, but I think
I can. Yeah,
complete
I
your
think I'll keep it up to
complete
here.
your slides first, and then we will move to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
sessions.
Next is perpetual learning. Now this again, something it's very important. So don't think studying will stop in uni. Don't think that people you will that's the end of the learning. If you are in any now, I say in any field in this world, the world is moving so fast that our previous generation, our parents had the luxury कि ठीक है उन्हें दोबारा नहीं पढ़ना पड़ता था. लेकिन now world is moving so fast that we have to continue learning. And learning is also a skill that you need to learn. Like it's important to learn how to learn. And how do you do it? It's basically like you train your brain muscles. So I often recommend people to read the books that that they're really scared of. Like think about what you find very complicated. Like I used to find medical and finance very complicated. I tried reading books on both of them, because I had to just like train my brain कि अच्छा, this it's like going to the gym, right? You have to pick up weights to build stronger muscles, and that's exactly goes with the brain. You have to read, understand difficult concepts in order to train your brain. your brain will work faster. It'll अब एक दफा मुश्किल कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आने में टाइम लगेगा, लेकिन सेकंड दूसरी दफा the complicated concept will you will understand it much faster. So that's you train your brain to understand concepts faster. And focus on the core foundations. Don't make sure like you under the hood it's science, it's physics, it's basic, and anything like try to try to break down things, anything you want to understand, anything complicated you want to understand, and whenever you're learning, try to make sure you understand it to a deeper level where from the base principles, right? I mean, for example, if you talk about coding, right, you should know how when you type in a URL, press enter, what happens under the hood, or when you run a hello world program, what exactly happens under the hood. Try to trace down everything to the fundamentals. Now that's again, it's very hard, but once you get the habit of doing that, trying to understand things and working under the hood, that will change your perspective drastically. Then understanding these difficult things will get much easier because you're always working with foundations. I try to understand compilers whenever you write a code, when you use a library, for example, that's simple. When you use a library in your programming, if it's like doing magic behind the scenes, then stop, try to understand what that magic is, try to understand how that code is working under the hood. The more initially it will be very difficult, but the more you do it, the better it will get at it. Lastly, I think take you again, this is again part of that, like training your brain. The more complex tasks you do, the better it is. If you think your work, if somebody of you are working that where you're working on projects, if you think your project is very easy, stop that and try to level up and try to find a one level harder problem to solve. Especially in this age, in your 20s, even in 30s, you should be solving problems that are hard and that make you feel pain. So the harder problems the more complex tasks you try to do, the again, you're training your brain, right? The stronger your brain will get. So these are the key things that I think are very important for your mindsets, to have that. Again, anyone अभी तक मैंने कोई tips नहीं दिए ऐसे अभी तक, right? How to join Google, or how to join big companies. अभी but these things will give you that mindset that once you have this, then everything just comes to you after that. Literally, then instead of you chasing, people will start coming to you. Your strengths, your capabilities will become so good that the opportunities will come to you. You don't have to go for it, right? Now I can talk about more strategies. Now this is I think the mindset part is a lot more important, but strategies I think are also useful. So I'll talk about strategies. Now these strategies will actually help you get an interview at any major company in the world, Google including, and other, Microsoft, Facebook, whatever you want to work for, Apple. Any good companies would actually highly value these things. First is open source contribution, right? As a software engineer. Now, how many people know about open source contribution? Yes. Okay. How many people don't know? I think that's a better question. Okay. Okay. So there are a few no's. There are few people who don't know. Okay. Okay. So let me talk about what is open source contribution. Okay. If you don't know open source contribution, I recommend you to take a screenshot of this, or like just search open source contribution online, and read about, because it's I can try to explain it quickly, but we don't have that much time. But this is a very important concept. Open source contribution means that so a lot of these companies, a lot of these organizations, including Google, have their code available on GitHub for anyone to come and read, and also try to make changes. So this is just open source code, we call it. So Google, for example, has a bunch of its code available to the public. Anybody can come and read it. right? So what happens is now Google also says, okay, we want to make these improvements in our code. So there's a list of things that we want to do, list of improvements that we want to do in our code. Now you can actually take up any of that task and try to make changes in the code so that the code gets better, right? You make a change, you recommend a change, and then people from Google, literally people working at Google, will review your code, and they will give you feedback. Okay, Arslan, that's not how you do it, you should do it like this. And you get feedback on that, you try to make changes again, and then you submit again, and maybe after like a couple of back and forth, eventually your change gets submitted into the code base. So now all of this is completely free. You get two benefits, you get three benefits out of it, major benefits. First is you get to work on like a really really high quality code base. Like it's very high quality code base, like in Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, all of them have really high quality code base, so you get to work on really a good code base, right? Secondly, you're getting to work with people who are working in Google, Facebook, Microsoft. Like these are highly skilled people, and you get to work with them for free. You're not doing anything. And secondly, you're writing code that will be used by many other people for years and decades to come. Like you are literally leaving something in the world for others to use and others to help. So it is by far, I think this is, if abhi छुट्टियां आ रही, गर्मी की छुट्टियां आ रही हैं, if you haven't done this, I highly recommend spending time contributing to open source. It builds up your profile. And okay, the other benefits into it that I think even bigger, you have your public GitHub profile. Anyone can come and see, okay, Arslan contributed into these repositories, Hassan contributed into these repositories, Ahmed contributed into like these repositories of these big companies, right? And when you put your GitHub profile on your CV, or you put these projects on your CV, that's a huge gain. Like uh, any interviewer or any person who's hiring would be very impressed if you have already contributed into like Google's code base or Facebook's code base, or I mean there are many other companies. I don't want to name all of them, but and I don't want to emphasize Google only. There are many other companies that have that, and I should you should contribute to all of them. I made a lot of contribution to Facebook's code base before I joined Google, and that was, I think, one of the very important things in my CV as well. Okay, that I've already contributed to Facebook. I think Facebook and Microsoft. I did both. I didn't do Google, but I did Facebook and Microsoft both. So that was again a huge thing. It's been a while. I don't remember exactly what I contributed to. It's been so many years, but again, I think this was very valuable. उसके बाद, now there are these open source code contribution programs. अब इसमें क्या होता है कि literally some companies host these programs, like Google hosts this program as well, called Google Summer of Code. मैं Google Summer of Code की example देता हूँ. Now what they do is they are like, okay, we have these open source repositories or code bases. We want you to make changes. You can pick one repository, and you're like, okay, you wanna make add this new feature in this code base, right? And Google will actually pay you money as well for the summer. So therefore you work on that for 3 months, Google pays you money. You don't go, you use, it's a totally remote program. So you work from wherever you are, and people all across the globe do it. Abhi iski deadline chali gayi hai, lekin next year I highly recommend you to apply to Google Summer of Code. You work on open source, इससे पैसे भी मिल रहे हैं, or you also work on really high quality code base. You work with Google developers. You also, something you put on your CV. It's learning, and you're also getting money, right? So highly recommend. Abhi filhal start contributing to open source. Secondly, start next jab time I apply to Google Summer of Code and Google Seasons of Docs. There's so many Linux kernel mentorship program. There's so many of them. So take a screenshot of this if you can. Look them up on Google. There उसके अलावा और भी बहुत ज़्यादा हैं. Apply to all of them if you can. जहाँ पे भी मिल जाए, just do that. Okay. Okay, moving on. Now, another important thing that is super valuable. And again, whenever I see a CV, this is something that really really gets me is, okay, if you are solving a problem like by yourself, like again, this is something like we're doing side projects or doing startups on the side. A lot of people do startups when they're in university, because you have that group of friends, you have your mentors, you have your professors to ask advice from, you have that environment, and you just need to take out time, and you can do these startups or side projects in which you have to focus on two things. You're solving a problem, and that eventually delivers value to someone. Like, it doesn't have to deliver value to everyone, it doesn't have to deliver, but it has to deliver value to a small set of people. And you should be solving a problem, like there should be a problem to begin with. And then, because these two things are very, very hard to do, to make something that gives benefit, that is beneficial for people, and solves a problem for them. It's very hard. But so if you do it, it's enormously benefit. And then, again, these are things that nobody's stopping you from doing it. There's no cost to it. All you need is a laptop, some time, think about it, talk to people, and do it. Right? अब ये जितनी भी मैं चीजें बता रहा हूँ इस presentation में, there's no cost to doing it. The cost is just your time and energy. That's the only cost to doing everything here. So the only excuse you can have is, okay, I didn't have time, or I didn't have the energy. There's no, like, a lot of people say, okay, I can't become like a great developer because I'm not working for a great company. That's an excuse people can have. But these things, I don't think there's any. This can be done by yourself. And again, start with any idea that comes to your mind, and eventually evolve it. Make sure you deliver value to people. Um, so be also, I think this is very important, and this is a bit hard to explain, because you need to be in any environment, कोई भी project कर रहे हो, make sure you get feedback on that. Make sure anything you're building, anything you're doing, any project you're doing, any assignment you're doing, any new stuff any side project you're building, you need to get feedback. You need to understand what went right, what went wrong, what went right, what went wrong. And this, because this will be a metric for you to improve. Otherwise, this goes on your code, on your interaction with people, anything that you do, you need to be in an environment where you get feedback on that, so you can actually improve on that part. Okay, so now let's talk more about job applications. I hope everything is all going well, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome, 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 awesome. I'm trying to finish this so that we can get into discussions properly. Job applications. Another very common question I get is that, okay, what skills do I need to become a developer or a software engineer at Google? Like, that's by far a very common question I get. Now, this question has different answers over different time. If you asked me this last year, I would have answered you something different. If you ask me now, I would answer different. And again, 2 years down the line, it will be different. So the easiest way to get this answer is go to the careers page of the website. Like, career of Google, all of them have a careers page जिसमें वो अपनी job applications post करते हैं. Okay, and these are big companies. They always have open positions. Now, what you need to go, you need to go to the page, and you can look at the criteria, right? Maybe we can go. So let's go to. I haven't done this, but careers.google.com. So no, careers. I'll say careers. Yes. If I go to this website, it's loading up very slowly, and I whatever in Los Angeles search. Let's do whatever. Now there you go. Let's pick something simple. Software engineer कोई है अगर technical program manager, software engineer, yeah. So yes, software engineer two. Yeah, this looks good actually. Yeah. So now you see the two minimum requirements and preferred qualification. Now this is the list of things that you need, right? And if you ask me, that's what I will give an answer for you, right? And you have a checklist of 4 things you need to learn, right? And once you learn this is, I think this is a more experienced role, but I think you can go, if you go for junior roles, it'll be easier. But these are things you need to learn, and if you learn these, you can go apply for this job. And there are a lot of similar ones. I think this one you need to care less about. As long as you have this, go apply, right? That's a minimum requirement. If you go here, you will see, okay, bachelor's degree, then you have 2 years of experience in this with an advanced degree, 2 years of experience. And the 2 years of experience can also count as um, experience within your university. If you've built things, agar 2 saal mein degree ki hai and you've also built some things, right? That's good. And 2 years of experience in data structure and algorithms, again, or in either academic or industrial settings. So that is something you studied. You studied data structures and algorithms in university, so you do have experience with data structures and algorithms, right? So again, you want to have like this is your minimum qualifications you need, and then you can apply for that job. So I would say that's how you should try to answer the question for yourself. Instead of asking people, I would just start applying whenever like the minimum requirements are met from the careers page, right? And go look at like a few 5 6 career jobs, and you will understand कि क्या common है इसमें. Okay, what are the things that are very common, what are the skills that are very common, I should just focus on that. And this changes over time. So but just but start learning whatever you see as being most common, right? uh, Apply more. It's a numbers game. Oftentimes just apply to as many companies, as many jobs as you can when you graduate, when you're in your fourth year. So जो भी fourth year के students हैं या जो भी graduate कर रहे हैं, I would highly recommend you to just start applying as much as you can, right? Because again, the more you interview, the more your interview practice gets better, the more you get better at interviewing. And then you need to so that when the right opportunity comes, you're already ready for interview. You have the interview practice, you know what to talk, how to talk about yourself, you know how to answer questions. All that practice is done already. So then you can easily go and you can actually get that opportunity, right? Interviewing is a lot about selling yourself and negotiating. So don't sell yourself short. First of all, make sure you've done enough stuff to sell yourself. But a lot of people who are very smart, who have done so much stuff, they're unable to sell themselves. That's again an art. As I said earlier, two skills very important: building and selling. And this includes selling yourself and negotiating your position, negotiating your opportunity, right? um, Again, super important. And you already have a very authentic source to get your answers from the careers page. Now I want to talk specifically about Pakistan as well. I personally feel Pakistan is in a very interesting position for technology. I think technology, having a technology career in Pakistan, is is very rewarding. First of all, there's information in tech is information equality. Like whatever I learned in Hong Kong, the same information is available to you guys. The same information is available to somebody studying in MIT, Stanford, or Harvard. Exactly the same information. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि that you can't access, लेकिन somebody studying at Harvard has access to. And again, especially in tech, this information is available for free. You will see MIT courses on YouTube for free. And there's no like there is really no difference between if you study that course in Pakistan or if somebody goes to MIT and studies in MIT or Harvard or Stanford. Doesn't matter, right? Another very important factor, I think, which is I have talked to a lot of remote companies and they are hiring like crazy in Pakistan because it makes sense for them to hire in Pakistan because Pakistan is has lower living costs. Like as I said, Zurich is very, very expensive. So we'll hire from Zurich for remote work. Everyone will go to Pakistan and hire from Pakistan. So remote opportunities. So look for remote opportunities. Remote opportunities and I think they're good and they'll continue to improve in Pakistan. And I think remote is gonna be a huge thing in Pakistan going forward. So do that. Um, and there's very minimal cost to starting in tech in general. This is not only for Pakistan. Then in tech, all you need a laptop and an internet connection, and that's it. Really, you can learn everything there. You can do your work. That's all you need. You really don't need anything. And because of remote work, you can be anywhere in Pakistan just with a good internet connection and a laptop and electricity, right? There's so many rooms for digitalization. There are so many now India, and there's so many startups in India. You can, if you are looking for a startup idea, if you're looking for a side project idea, just take anything from India that is not in Pakistan and re-implement in Pakistan. There's so much room for digitalization. Pakistan may I think that this is the in the next 4 or 5 years you'll see a lot of digitalization happening, and I want you guys to be a part of that digitalization, right? Build things that automate stuff, that make life easier, and that digitalizes a lot of the operation or the day-to-day activities. So there's a lot of room for that. In Pakistan, we recently, in the past 4 years, we have I think 4G in the that this came in the last 4 years, and smartphones became really really popular in the last 4 years. So now is the peak time for this digitalization to happen. So I'm benefit hearing my voice. So I'll stop here and I will let you guys answer or ask your questions. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of burning questions. Let me see if I can. So on the chat, I'm not gonna go through the chat. I would recommend you to unmute yourself and ask questions, because as I said, I'll be much more happier to see your faces and hear your voices.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
Can you?
I can hear you.
Hello? Oh, nice. First of all, thank you very much for this wonderful session. मैं specifically computer related field का बंदा नहीं हूँ.
Okay.
I'm doing BBA in HR specialization.
Okay.
मीटिंग ज्वाइन करने का मकसद सिर्फ ये था कि ज़रा एक्सपोजर ले लें
Yeah.
एक दूसरी फील्ड का. ठीक
Yeah.
है. और इनिशियली आपने बता दिया था कि ये नॉन टेक्निकल फील्ड्स के जो उनसे रिलेटेड बंदे हैं उनके लिए भी बेनिफिशियल होगा, और ये मुझे
Yes.
लगा ये चीज़ इनिशियली आपने जो बातें बताई एग्जैक्टली इम्प्लीमेंट होती हैं.
Yeah.
इसमें से मैं कुछ चीज़ें बताना चाहूँगा. जिस तरह आपने इनिशियली कुछ चीज़ें बताई ना, कि जिस तरह आप कह रहे थे कि जिस फील्ड में आप एक्सेल करना चाह रहे हो आप उस फील्ड के बंदों के साथ अपने इंटरेक्शन बढ़ाओ. ठीक है.
Exactly.
तो
Exactly.
तो वो चीज़ मैं कर चुका हूँ. व्हेन आई वाज इन 6th सेमेस्टर, तो तभी से मैंने ये चीज़ करना स्टार्ट कर दी थी, क्योंकि मेरे माइंड में ये चीज़ क्लियर थी कि मैंने एचआर में आगे परस्यू करना है. तो मैं जाता था, जो भी लोगों से इंटरेक्ट करता था जो भी इस फील्ड के रिलेटेड थे, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली उस टाइम तक मुझे ऐसे लोग नहीं मिले थे. अभी आके कुछ ऐसे हुआ है कि अब मुझे अपनी फील्ड के रिलेटेड बंदे मिलने शुरू हो गए. तो
Mm.
विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी टाइम मैं अपने मेन टॉपिक पे आता हूँ कि जैसा कि आपको पता है कि ऑटोमेशन हर तरफ हो रही है. ठीक है. तो एचआर डिपार्टमेंट में भी ऑटोमेशन हो रही होगी,
Yeah.
ऑब्वियसली इस बात है.
Yeah.
ठीक है. तो डू यू थिंक कि इन अपकमिंग ईयर्स एचआर जो सा है अपनी वो वैल्यू खो देगा, या फिर जो से वहाँ पे एचआर डिपार्टमेंट में जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं
Mhm.
मशीन्स उनको रिप्लेस कर लेंगी?
That's a good question. Okay, so I think have to answer this question. So this is I think this is not only an HR problem, right? Most of the fields are like very concerned. Like, okay, how much they will change with automation, and I think I want to address this because this is a very important question. So automation has been happening for decades now. It's centuries. Like there used to be people who could carry water from the wells to the home in a bucket, right? And so there used to be the अभी भी कुछ पाकिस्तान में कुछ जगह पे होंगे. I'm not sure. There were people that was a major part of their job to carry water from one part to the other part. Now we have pumps, we have pipes. That's automated, right? Their job was gone, right? We had factory workers. A lot of that is like if you see like new factories like Tesla ki jo factory hai, it's fully automated. They're like 5% human beings. It's fully automated, right? That's already done. Um, so this will keep on happening. We had used to have like there are very few people who deal with post now. Post office में बहुत कम लोग हैं. There are very few postmen because we send emails and we do all of these electronic communication. So this is having happening. It will continue to happen. It will happen in our generation. It will happen in the next generation, right? Now the only factor is how fast. If this happens really quickly, then there's more pain. people are jobless and there are people more fun. If it happens slowly, then this gives people enough time to retrain, to learn new skills, and to adapt. Now, I would recommend um, everything is going to change. Even software engineering will change, yes, but or if you have a mindset of like continue to learn, continue to embrace it instead of like pushing it away from it. Now, you talked about like there's a lot of automation coming in HR. Understand that automation, embrace it, learn how to use it, learn how to work with it, and get get better at it. Get better at whole HR system will get better with that, right? And you will start solving, you will slowly learn, okay, I need to work on higher level problems. Maybe some problem, some of the things that you do will be automated, yes, but you will find more problems to solve. So we as human beings will continue to move forward, and we'll keep on solving better and better and more high level problems, and automating things away from that are painful, that are slow, that are operational. We human beings are not good at things that are very repetitive, right? जो चीजें सेम चीज बार बार रिपीट होती है, वो काम बहुत बोरिंग लगता है. So we need to have, so we'll automate that away, and we will be working on more creative stuff, creative things. So embrace it, make sure you learn it, and it will happen, but nobody can stop it, and we have to just embrace and work with it.
Okay.
थैंक यू एग्जैक्टली आपने बड़ी
Yeah, go
एग्जैक्ट
on.
बात बताई है कि मतलब बहुत अरसे से ये चीज़ उनकी ना
Exactly.
इन्वेंशन और ऑटोमेशन आ रही है, लेकिन इस डेकेड में अगर हम अगर गौर करें जिनसे ये प्रीवियस डेकेड गुजरा और अभी जो चल रहा है, इसमें ऑटोमेशन का एक हम कह सकते हैं एक बूम आया है और एवरीथिंग इज
Hmm.
गोइंग ऑटोमेटिक वेरी फास्टली. तो
It's
अच्छा
it's
इससे
moving faster. Yes.
हम्म, तो डू यू थिंक देयर इज अ रूम फॉर Pakistani student doing HR to work with international companies like Google?
Yes. Yes. 100%.
So
100%.
how
No doubt about it.
इसमें तो ये चीज़ आ जाती है ना कि वर्ल्ड में कंपटीशन इतना ज़्यादा है, स्टैनफोर्ड, हार्वर्ड, इतने बड़े बड़े यूनिवर्सिटीज़ जो सी हैं जो से टॉप लेवल पे हैं, वहाँ का हमारे साथ कंपटीशन होगा. और हमारी जो सी अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारी जो सी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं वो बहुत ही लो रैंक पे आती हैं. तो हाउ वी आर
Okay.
गोइंग टू सर्वाइव देयर विद वेरी टफ कंपटीशन?
But let me clear that. I think the universities can the name, going forward, the name will start mattering less and less. The actual knowledge you have will matter more. As I said, you can attain the same knowledge as somebody studying in Harvard, somebody studying in MIT, right? And and people, a lot of companies are realizing that the name is less important. Google especially emphasizes a lot. And I think for a lot of the positions, you don't even need a degree now at Google. You can apply if you have the knowledge. So that's the thing. A lot of the companies are realizing that okay, the name just doesn't matter anymore, but it matters what kind of skill you have, and you can achieve the same skill as somebody studying in Harvard and MIT by being in Pakistan, just because information equality, like the same, you have access to the same information. So there's no, yes, it's competitive, but I think that you do not have a disadvantage in this camp competition.
सो माय लास्ट क्वेश्चन इज, क्या गूगल भी जो सा है रिमोट जॉब्स प्रोवाइड कर रहा है, मतलब इन एचआर फील्ड, और या सिर्फ वो टेक्निकल फील्ड के
uh,
लिए?
I I don't know as of now if there are the HR may hang and Google has remote jobs 100%. In HR, I'm not fully sure as of now. Of course, they have people working in HR 100%. I'm not sure if what locations are hiring, what locations are not hiring, because it's a huge company. One location is hiring, one location is not hiring. It's like it's completely fluctuating. So if you go to the careers.google.com, you will find that information there live.
ओके सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच, जज़ाकल्लाह.
You
Okay.
find more information there than me.
Yeah. So Arslan, there's a bunch of questions in the chat section. So I will
Okay.
read them
Can you
one by
read?
one.
Me?
Yeah, I will read them one by one, and then you can apply as a whole. Okay. So some of them I have already applied. Um, so one question is,
I think go on.
one question is, which one of these seems a better pathway to get into big tech? Pursuing a master's degree in US or Europe, or staying in Pakistan and preparing for big tech along with your job?
Okay. Which one is better from these two, right? That's a great question, actually. I have seen people getting success in both. It's But one thing is that I if you can afford to do like a master's, or if you cannot afford, I think sometimes it's very cheap, but if you can do a master's, that has two benefits, right? You will learning is definitely one. Secondly, also you get a different exposure. You get to live in a different country. If you move out of Pakistan, right? Any move anywhere, Germany, Australia, whatever. If you move, you get to live, you get a different exposure that is very valuable for your personal growth. So, but again, I've definitely seen cases where people get directly got hired from Pakistan. That is very common. No, no, not sorry, that is possible now. But if you go the only the but larger companies do that, smaller companies would not do that. So if you go for masters, your market will be more open. So I would slightly prefer the first approach, but second approach is 100% doable as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of questions about DSA. So can you address them? Like,
I think I saw one more
is
question that
DS
was very important. Let me see. And there was one question that I read, but I forgot what was it about. Mm, Sorry, you go. What is DSA?
yeah, like how important is GSA? Is uh, how many lead code questions we have to solve, and how
Mhm.
we can prepare for these coding interviews?
Um,
Like, and is GSA
some
really matters or not?
It matters. So yeah, okay. So again, this is if you, as I was showing you that job post, right? It clearly says experience with data structure and algorithms. So that's in the minimum requirements. If you see that line that I was showing you, I can show it again to make things clear. Um, Here, right? So if it's one of the three lines that they have mentioned, then it's definitely important, right? You will see some roles in which it's not important, but if you see a role like this, then I would say 100% important, right? And this definitely means lead code, yes. Now again, how many questions you need to solve, that to purely up to you. Some people solve like 10, and then they get the high level idea, and that's good enough. It's like when you study math, like some people take some more time to understand. Some people are able, or they have done more practice in the past, and they do it well. So if you are studying a DSN or algorithm course, it's very important. And do practice it on lead code and other platforms. It actually, again, it's basically problem solving. And that's when Google interviews, problem solving is one of the very key aspects of like the interview. So you will get into that habit of understanding these problems and coming up with the solutions, right?
Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, hi. So I don't know if it's really relevant question, but for someone who really isn't that good at coding, how can I get better?
um, well, to be honest, that this is a very normal state for everyone who start. I was terrible at coding to start with, so that's how you start, right? Um how The best way to do that is, again, the initial bit, I would say, take a course, learn the basic theory, like even if just read the theory, even if you don't write any code, but still read the basic theory so that I understand the basics. And then jump into building things. Any little tool that you think will be valuable, you set that as a goal, and then you work backwards to what you want to build. And whatever you need to learn to build that, you build that. So it's very like learning by doing things, and it's very targeted learning. So and you it's like it's you never become good at coding. You just become good at doing something. You're building one type of stuff. I think coding is a very broad term, so I don't think I've seen people here like, hey, I'm good at coding. or I'm not good at coding. Because it's a very broad term. There's so many different angles to it, and there's so many opinions. Some people like different types of code. Some people like different types of code, and it can get very specific to different applications. So in one line, just learn the basics. If you can write basic loops and basic functions, then start building something. It can be in whatever language you know. Doesn't matter, really matter. Build something good, useful, elaborate in one language. It and
All
make it a project, make it and something you really find motivated towards, and you really find exciting, because that will keep you going. Otherwise you will give up. But if you find, okay, this is something really cool, this is something like, and put your name in it, show it to the world, show it to the people, own it, and that will really push you forward.
right, thank you so much. And another really important question of mine is, does GPA really matter?
Hmm. Okay, that's a very controversial question. I mean, I generally think it doesn't matter beyond a certain point. Of course, um, take the courses so that you understand things, but don't try to optimize for GPA, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, sure, don't have a terrible GPA, because it's gonna help you get your first job, and that's it. And generally, people who understand courses well also get a decent GPA. I know there's a different thing about preparing for exams and preparing for courses. So don't spend too much time in preparing for exams. Do enough that I don't know. In Pakistan, most of the universities have maximum GPA is 4.0, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think if you're above, like, I don't know in Pakistan what's really the threshold, but if you're above, like, I think 3.2, then you are in the safe zone. And after that, don't try to optimize too much for it. But instead, put that time in learning and actually building things.
All right, thank you so much.
So it generally helps you get your
Okay,
first job, and after that, nobody really cares.
can you hear me?
Hmm.
I have a question that if I'm not related to the field of CS or IT software engineering, basically I'm an engineer. I'm doing
Yes.
a bachelor's in
Yes.
engineering. How can I contribute myself in the Google
Okay.
something like that? Or by learning these
Okay.
C++, or how can I?
So first of all, Google doesn't only hire software engineers. We hire so many other people as well. As we talk about HR first, we have sales. We have people who study physics. We have people who study medical. We have people who studied economics. So we have like a broad system. Some people study something and then eventually learn coding. Some people do actually like economics work, finance work, or we have mechanical engineers as well for working in Waymo. So like again, it's very broad, and a lot of the other companies like Apple has a lot of other engineers as well. Microsoft. So these companies are very big, so they hired very diverse roles. So you don't need to learn coding to work for these big companies. Of course, a lot of the majority of the people would be software engineers, but that's not it. So you can still find relevant roles. So
Uh,
if you like learning coding, that's a different thing. But generally, if you have curiosity of learning coding, I think you should explore. But that's not a requirement. You don't have to do it. It's you should do it if you like, if you're
like,
curious about it.
I'm doing an electrical engineering. Can it be contributed in the
Yeah,
Google or?
yeah, yeah. We make the Pixel phones, right? So we need electrical engineers.
Assalamu alaikum.
Uh,
Wait, I think
Noor,
Noor, do you have a question?
yeah,
I think you have been raising your hand.
Yeah, sorry, I was confused. So
So
I
Noor
thought,
is a friend of mine from Zurich, so she is very happy to join She wanted to meet a bunch of the Pakistanis, and she she's also an aspiring software engineer. Uh, yeah. Yes, Noor, go ahead.
yeah, thank you, Aslan, for introducing me. It was not necessary. So yeah, so thank you, Aslan, for your presentation. I'm super amazed. I learned some new stuff. I also really like that you empathize to work with people. So I this is new for me to because I'm the person who wants to contribute alone. But since I'm in the startup area, I figured out that why not having people who are more skilled in some area which I have to spend more time in it and to work together. So because I think this is one thing what people don't use. So I think for me, to figure out my skills first and to see when somebody is more in a different area more skilled to work together, inshallah. And this is my comment, but actually I have a
Sorry,
question.
can you repeat it? My internet was a bit flaky. Can you repeat yourself? The last thing you said?
The last thing, yeah, I said this is just a comment from my side, because in Switzerland, or I think one thing what they figured out in startup area, that in future people need to collaborate more together, and this is one thing what people would like to buy or spend money in it when they see platforms where they can see other people or work with people or join
Yeah.
people. This is one thing what I want to give it to you. And my question, sorry, is so me, I think I already asked you this question, but I'm very bad at selling myself. So, or giving like, I think you said like building and selling is one like crucial for getting a job. I'm also seeking a job now, and one thing from my personality or from my background, I'm not a person who is like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah, sell. How would you give me tips that I already asked you this question, but still can you give me some insight?
No,
Thank you.
that's a good question, and I can understand a lot of people don't want to talk about themselves and they don't want to like brag about themselves, right? That's a very, and I mean I know a lot of people are. So there are actually this difference between selling doesn't mean just talking about yourself, and sometimes I'm also the person who doesn't really enjoy talking too much about myself. So I generally follow with the strategy of show, not show instead of telling. So you just show your skills and show your capabilities, show what you have built instead of telling. That's a much more humble way as well. And it you like, and you can show your skills by performing some action or doing something, or you don't have to. You're like, it's like indirect way of telling your skill. Like you use your skill in a scenario, or for example, if you're really amazing at Python, right, for example, right, and if you've already contributed to one of the important Python code bases, you showed your skill already. You don't need to say that you are really amazing at Python. You can just say, hey, I contributed to this thing. Now that's like a fact. It's like an action you did, and that already tells that, okay, you are at that level. So you create these like actions, you do these actions, and that automatically tell a story of your, and that's a much more powerful way of selling as well. I think it's a more humble and more powerful way of selling. You're showing your skill instead of telling. Also, when people tell me about their skill, okay, I'm really good at data science. It's really hard for me to, like, judge on that as well. I mean, they can convince me, but if they rather show me what they've built or show me what skills they have, that just goes way beyond anything. Another important part about this is about selling per se is you're not talking about, you generally often not talking about yourself. You're talking about how you can deliver value to the other person. So it has to be very specific. And now if you go interview for a role, you will talk about how, or how what are the, if just by showing that you understand the role, first of all, it's kind of another way of, okay, you already know what are the challenges in this role. You already know what kind of problems are there and what are the possible solutions of this role. Now in this whole thing, if you talk about challenges, problems, solutions of a particular role, you're already like knows that you can deliver value to that role, and you're kind of selling yourself. So all of this doesn't really involve, like, talking highly about your skills. So these are the tricks I would say, and these are, again, that's why I really emphasize on interviewing. I think as you interview, you start realizing these patterns, and that just very helpful.
Yeah, I
Does it
think
did that answer your question this time?
yes, thank you, Naz.
Okay, awesome, cool. Any other questions?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
Yes, वालेकुम।
कैसे हैं आप अस्लाम भाई?
मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर आस्किंग। आप कैसे हैं?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैं भी ठीक। मैं दरअसल ये पूछना चाह रहा था, पहले तो मैं ये चीज़ ऐड करना चाहूँगा कि मैं एक डिसेबल्ड स्टूडेंट हूँ और
हाँ,
मैं इधर जो है इस्लामाबाद की साइड पे पिंडी में रहता हूँ। इस्लामाबाद में यूनिवर्सिटी है, उधर हम जो है कंप्यूटर साइंस का स्टूडेंट हूँ, 3rd ईयर का।
कौन सी
और
यूनिवर्सिटी में?
कैपिटल यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी,
अच्छा,
कस्ट
ओके,
माजू के नाम से आप शायद जानते हो।
अच्छा,
तो
हाँ,
उसमें हम पढ़ रहे हैं, कंप्यूटर साइंस की डिग्री में कर रहा हूँ। तो
हम्म,
करंटली मैं जो है यूआई यूएक्स डिजाइनर का जो है ना काम कर रहा हूँ। उसमें डिफरेंट मतलब रोल्स के मैंने किए हैं काम, ऐप्स के हों या फिर ग्राफिक डिजाइनिंग के भी काम किए हैं, फिर यूआई यूएक्स के भी किए हैं। तो लेकिन
या
मेरा जो वो है गेम डिजाइनिंग की तरफ, डिजाइनिंग हो या गेम प्रोग्रामिंग है, सारा कुछ है इसमें। सी शार्प की जो हम लैंग्वेज यूज़ करते हैं और सारा कुछ। अब मतलब अभी मेरा उसमें कोई एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम मुझे स्किल्स मैंने डेवलप नहीं किए, लेकिन मैंने
या
हल्का फुल्का स्टार्ट किया है,
नाइस,
थोड़ा बहुत सीखना स्टार्ट किया इस तरह करके।
अच्छा,
तो मैं पूछना चाह रहा था कि ये जो अगर गेम की इस तरह की फील्ड है तो वो कैसे फिट होती है बिग टेक कंपनीज के लिए, जैसे गूगल है, आईबीएम है या और जितनी भी हैं, तो उसमें कैसे हम फिट हो सकते हैं अगर कोई बंदा इस साइड से आना चाहिए?
I see. So Google का actually we Google open design studio, but only it was for a year. I think एक साल के लिए हमने खोला था स्टूडियो, गेम डिजाइन स्टूडियो, जब वो स्टेडिया लॉन्च हुआ था। Have you heard of Stadia? Stadia,
नो।
no. So Google की service थी that basically on a game streaming की. So you log into a browser and you can play games, and वो game streaming होगी. You don't need a console, you don't is our own design studio, and उसमें we hired game designers just like something you want to be, and but वो eventually वो program बंद हो गया था। Recently बंद हुआ program. So Google में I think, I don't know, but what we do is Google works very closely, so we have internal, because for example Android has a lot of games, right? Android is one of the most popular platforms to play games on, and now in Google who actually talk to these game developers and help them to make sure, because in agar ek Android game successful hongi, that Google will also benefit from that, Play Store will benefit from that, Android will benefit from that. Google has their in-house people who understand game design and all that, and eventually partner with these third-party game designers जिन्होंने अपनी apps डाली हुई हैं Play Store पे, and help them improve. That's what they do. Now, but on the other hand, Sony, they have their own games. Microsoft has as well. So they have their own games division. Microsoft bought one of the greatest game design studios. So that was जिनकी Call of Duty game है, वो Activision की, I think so. So that it's like so they do these so a lot of these game. Apple has their own game design studio as well. So so there are these companies that have these. So yeah, and I think that's already said that you're curious about it, you want to explore it. I don't think there's anything that should be stopping you from doing it. You should just go full steam ahead. Whatever the world is your oyster, whatever you want to do, whatever types of games you really, and yeah, I'm pretty sure, and I think there's in also game design is a very niche community as well. So I would recommend you like joining these Discord groups or Reddit subreddit chats, where you can actually connect with the right people. And it's a very niche community. They work very closely with each other, and they're very passionate people. People who do game design, I was like, they are totally in love with it, so they're really happy doing it. So it's pretty cool.
ये मैंने कुछ डिस्कॉर्ड सर्वर्स जो हैं ज्वाइन किए हुए हैं। माइंडस्टॉर्म स्टूडियोज का अगर आपको पता हो लाहौर का है, तो उसका मैंने ज्वाइन किया हुआ है और उसमें जो है काफ़ी हेल्प मिल गई है। उसका एक समर इंटर्नशिप प्रोग्राम भी है और उसमें मैंने इनरोलमेंट की हुई है। वो अभी
Nice.
पता नहीं हफ्ता 10 दिन में इंशाल्लाह शुरू हो जाएगा। तो
Well,
वो भी
congratulations. Nice.
जज़ाकल्लाह, थैंक
Nice.
यू। तो बस
But
अभी
you don't
बस
have to,
ये जी
yeah, you don't have to limit to just Pakistan. I would say just go beyond Pakistan, no borders, literally. Other game design you see, like outside Pakistan, these Discord groups, these subreddits, this goes for everyone. Like you, the benefit of being online is that you don't have to be limited to a boundary. You can literally, like, that's really the benefit. The web, so just Discord is available in every country, so just go explore. Don't limit yourself to just one country or one area.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, really happy to see that. Mashallah. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Assalamu
Hi.
alaikum.
I don't know which one was first. Go ahead. Whoever wants to speak first.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम अरसलान भाई.
Yes.
I haven't any question, but I have need a guideline to be a consistent on one technology. Like I am doing artificial intelligence, and along with I am doing a data engineering, and
Okay.
I don't know when I see any technology. Like I see a lecture of data engineering, maybe tomorrow I see a lecture on crypto. So any guideline to be a consistent on technology.
So what year are you in?
My degree is in artificial intelligence, but along with I am doing a fellowship as a data engineer.
But what year are you in? First year, second year, fourth year?
I'm in second semester, first year.
Oh, first, dude. Just explore. कुछ नहीं होता. जो दिल करता है, अभी for now it's fine. I think in third year I would suggest, okay, start, like, you'll automatically realize what you start, what you want to be consistent on. Then you would want to do the same thing again and again. But right now, actually, it's a very good thing. I'm it's If you're curious about one thing, just go watch a video on that. If you're curious about another thing, go read about that. If you're curious about a third thing, go read about that. Don't stop yourself at this point. Let it be. It's completely fine. As I said in my presentation, a lot of people start worrying about specializing too early, and it's a vast world right now. It's you just like just And also, trust me, when you start specializing in one, तब तुम्हें वो सारे dots connect हो जाएंगे. Then you will see, अच्छा, ये मैंने ये AI की मैं AI में मैं सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर का कॉन्सेप्ट इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ, या मैं पाइथन लिखते लिखते I'm using this JavaScript concept or something. वो सारे मिक्स होंगे. That's completely fine.
All right, thank
ये
you.
काफी इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें हैं. It's a beautiful field. There are so many interesting topics in this. So don't stop yourself from, like, reading about it and exploring more about it. But good if you read but if you find something interesting, go deeper in it.
सो अरसलान, आई हैव क्वेश्चन जो कि
Yes.
आजकल ना बहुत जितने भी हमारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनके दरमियान काफ़ी कंफ्यूजन चल रही है इस हवाले से.
Yes.
एंड द
Yes.
क्वेश्चन इज दैट लाइक Pakistan, the HEC started different degrees, BS in artificial intelligence, data science, cybersecurity, and much more. So uh, those people who are graduating from A levels or from their 12th class, they don't have like that much of knowledge. Okay, what things we will do in this program or that program. So
Yeah.
many of the students, because of the AI, AI is the future, AI is the hot thing in the market. So get into the AI degree, and when they get into the AI degree, uh, things didn't work out. They don't understand the basics concepts, and like they कुछ उनके साथ जो और चीज़ें चल रही होती हैं, that is he did some web development and he liked it really well, and he want to pursue in the web development now, but he is currently doing BS in AI. His degree is in AI, but he is liking web development and currently doing that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when he graduate in Pakistan, so when he eventually go to the potential employer, so he or she can say that, okay, you did degree in AI, but you are interested in web development. What you know about web development, because your whole degree is based on AI and specializing in AI. So what your thoughts on these things? What should we have to do? Like we should
Yeah.
pursue
Got
computer
it.
science first, and then for specialization we have to pursue a master's, or we should pursue specific specific specialization in our BS.
Okay. Okay. The two. Okay. I think the very, very important point. I completely understand कि आप I think third year आपको ये AI की डिग्री कब सेलेक्ट करनी होती है? ये आपके शुरू में सेलेक्ट करनी होती है कि थर्ड ईयर में जाके सेलेक्ट करनी होती है या फोर्थ ईयर?
To complete a BS program, first year चाहिए. So
अच्छा फर्स्ट ईयर. अच्छा अच्छा. ओके. यस. दैट इज ट्रू. इट्स वेरी एंड अभी इस स्विच करना कितना आसान मुश्किल होता है या आसान होता है? अगर सेकंड ईयर में स्विच करना है, मेरा रियलाइज है कि अच्छा
yeah,
मैंने एआई नहीं करना.
I think
Yes,
the
कर सकते हैं. Yeah,
mix,
we have a
yeah,
chance कि हम first के बाद we can change our degree program if we are not interested in that field.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
can
Okay.
shift out.
So I would again ये बड़ा common problem है. ये बहुत I mean I did a generic computer science degree, but so first of all, whenever you select a degree, pehla saal you should just that should be the focus on like taking courses on AI, take course on from other if you can take a course of other of other degrees, take a course into that. अगर स्कूल वाले यूनिवर्सिटी कोर्स लेने नहीं दे रही तो just learn about it online. Like you can just take अगर web development का नहीं पता, just take initial web development 101 course, because that's the thing, right? You and I completely understand. जब तक नहीं पढ़ोगे नहीं पता कि क्या क्या है, ए क्या AI क्या है, कि वेब डेवलपमेंट क्या है, साइबर सिक्योरिटी क्या है, डेटा साइंस क्या है, नहीं पता चलता until you actually do a few courses on it. तो either I know it's very hard to say कि अच्छा यूनिवर्सिटी से पहले पहले ये इंफॉर्मेशन लेने की कोशिश करो, try to make best judgment. It's very hard and it's very easy to make a wrong decision. I completely understand कि आप AI में कर लेते हो and then but it's the only but what I would only say is if you when you find out कि अच्छा this is not something that you like want to do, right, in your school, don't again but you're sure that you know want this other thing, and you're very sure that you can do this other thing every day. Like for example, you're studying AI but you don't like AI, you're like I can do cybersecurity, I can study cybersecurity every day consistently, I really like spending time on it. Try to change it as soon as possible, right? Because not because ke nuksan hoga, it's just that I want you to spend time where you wanna where you like it and where you enjoy it, where you're learning faster, right? That's one. But if that's not possible, if you end up doing a degree in in AI, CV may you don't really have, and if you apply for a job, well, that's the trick. When you apply for a job, you can just apply as a degree of like computer science in general, because or you can, because it comes under the whole umbrella of computer science. Eventually, whatever you do, AI, machine learning, whatever, you don't have to write K you did artificial intelligence. You can just write a generic degree name. That's completely fine to play around with it. And then you apply for a web development job. You get like, okay, I studied computer science, and some employers, it can be confusing for some employers, but I definitely understand. It's very common कि हाँ मैंने AI की डिग्री की है लेकिन I don't like it. I like web development. I enjoy web development, and I have learned. But you also need to have something to show for it. You have to show that you are at least as good as someone who has done a web development degree, right? And that's completely fine. The For example, the best person who I know who's an AI researcher at Google did a degree in physics. It's completely different, but he's mind blowing. He's amazing in that. And the best salesman that I know, he's working for a finance company. He is an electrical engineer. So it's okay that वो डिग्री के 4 साल या 3 साल, that doesn't have to set the course of all of your life. हाँ, उस फिर पहली जॉब लेने में मुश्किल होगी, I completely understand. But if you are good enough in web development, and no matter what degree you did, I don't think people can stop you from doing it. There will be some maybe एक दो employer होंगे जो थोड़े they're very conservative. They're like, no, yeah, we don't want that. But other employer will purely judge you on how good you are in that web development role you're applying for. It doesn't really matter if you have studied the same thing or not. and it's a very common mistake. So don't be too harsh on yourself. नहीं पता चलता कि क्या करना है, कि कुछ लोग होते हैं जो जिनका तुक्का लग जाता है, वो सही 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 हो जाता है, कुछ लोग होते हैं उनको लेट लेट पता चलता है नहीं क्या पसंद है क्या नहीं पसंद. एंड इट्स ओके दीज, इवन इफ यू आर लेट बाय अ फ्यू इयर्स, आगे 40 साल का करियर है, तो यू वांट बी ऑन द राइट ट्रैक फॉर दैट 40 years. ये एक दो साल में जो गलत चीजें जो की हैं उससे नहीं होगा. एंड मे बी एंड यू कैन कंबाइन मल्टीपल थिंग्स. मे बी you work on web development, but since you have some knowledge of AI, you can work closely on on AI tools, web development of AI tools, right? Chat GPT is one, for example, right? So things like that. So I think there are a lot of combinations available. So don't be afraid to switch. Don't commit कि ये डिग्री ये ले ली, अब मैंने अपनी सारे सारे अगले 40 साल मैंने यही करना है. Don't force yourself to do that. That's a very common mistake that people do. I think there was a question about can you talk us through your thinking process when it comes to making personal projects, maybe any recent one you created. So I help out people. So I generally do two ways. When I find some person doing an interesting personal project, I just go and work with them. I'll be like, hey, मेरे पास weekend पे time है, let's work on it together, let's schedule a call, I want to know more, I let's work on it together, right? That's one common way of instead of like me thinking of an idea, if I find a cool idea, I just go and try to help out with these people and try to work on that. And what I do, what my thinking process is, like for example, my last idea, I didn't have enough time to finish it. It's still on my list to finish that. I just worked on it for 2-3 weekends. I was calling a helpline, and अब मैं कोई आधा घंटा मुझे वेट करना पड़ता है कि एयरलाइन की हेल्पलाइन थी, मुझे आधा घंटा वेट करना पड़ा था. तो मैंने कहा यार, it'll be really cool if a software program calls it on my behalf and eventually waits for the operator to picks up, and when the operator picks up, my phone rings, and only then I need to pick up the phone. I don't need to or I can schedule, I can ask it okay, it also automatically knows what number to press to talk to the operator and all that. So I started working on that. It was just purely because I was tired for waiting, after waiting, and I'm like, okay, let's start building it. And the next day I start building it. I spent 2-3 weekends on it. Build it's still a very early prototype, but I need to work on it more. So I'm trying to find time to work on it. Yeah, but yeah, things like that. So I mean, if a tool can help you save time, energy, yeah, build it. Don't overthink it too much. Just go ahead.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
Welcome.
मेरा सवाल ये कि हम किसी भी जिस तरह बड़ी कंपनी है, जिस तरह गूगल हो गई, इसके इंटरव्यू कैसे क्रैक कर सकते हैं? फर्स्ट ये है। दूसरा ये कि नेगोशिएशन किस तरह कर सकते हैं जब ये फाइनली इंटरव्यू क्लियर हो जाता है, तो ये इसके बारे में गाइड कर दें।
So there are one thing, you first interview कैसे क्लियर करना है, right? ये really depend करता है कि कौन सी पोजीशन के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हो. If you're applying for a software engineer position, are you thinking of applying for a software engineer position?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So then mostly algorithms and data structures matter a lot. I think it's about problem solving. Mostly, it's all the interviews are like that. If you apply for a senior position, then you will also do system design. अब कैसे crack करना है? It's matter of practice. So you look at what kind of questions are asked and you practice similar questions. जब Google interview के लिए बुलाएगा, तो recruiter आपको खुद बताता है कि ये topics पढ़ने हैं आपने, तो ये topics आपने तैयार करने हैं. तो you study those topics. Lead Code is an amazing resource to practice the problem solving, and that's about. And again, interviewing at other companies will help you prepare better to interview at Google, because you will be better at or Google or Microsoft or Facebook, whatever. But if you interview in multiple companies, you get into the practice of interviewing, and you're in the practice of how to solve problems on the spot, right? That's a very important key skill. And then when you do Google interview, then that you have higher chances. And the second question was negotiating. For negotiating, you need something called leverage. When you negotiation can be about location or team or salary. Like we have all these things you can negotiate on, right? Whenever you want to negotiate, you want to make sure that you have leverage. For example, if you already have a job offer from Germany, and you are like, okay, I really want to move to Germany. Can Google give me a role in Germany? Because but otherwise I already have this offer. I can. So you have some leverage. You have something to back your argument. And you need to create that sometimes. Sometimes you just get offers from other companies just so that you can negotiate with other company. So you need like these, like, offers from other companies so that you negotiate a better deal for yourself. If you have multiple offers, then it's easier. Does that make sense?
जी सर ये जो सा और जो सा जैसे डीपी आ गया, डीबीएमएस आ गया, ऊप्स आ गया, और ऑपरेटिंग
VMS,
सिस्टम कहते हैं,
yeah.
ये जो सब्जेक्ट होते हैं, कोर्स सब्जेक्ट, ये भी
कुछ रोल्स में डेफिनेटली सवाल होते हैं. यस, रोल्स पे डिपेंड करता है.
मैं
So operating system definitely, if you're going for a system engineer position, operating system plays a major role, and that's a major part of the interview. And DBMS, I mean, Google may, I don't know if I haven't done that actually. DBMS senior, when you go for a slightly senior position, then yes, aata hai. SRE, like the role I have, SRE role, then you need to know about DBMS as well, because they ask about system design and then they do that. But this is not a surprise for you. ऐसा नहीं होने वाला कि इंटरव्यू में मैं तुम्हें ऐसा पूछूंगी कि तुम्हें सोचा भी नहीं होगा कभी. Interviewer will actually give you literally a formal list of topics that you need to study.
तो ये प्रिपरेशन टाइम कितना मिलता है अगर
Um,
ये
Generally, they're very flexible, so you can even ask for like up to a month or 2 if you want.
ओके, थैंक यू सर.
Yeah, they're very flexible. I mean,
Hi.
again, everything. One little caveat: everything I tell about the interview process, that can change. It keeps on evolving. It has evolved in the past. It can change. I'm just giving my experience. But going forward, these things can evolve and change. The best person, and these questions you can easily ask the recruiter. Google, कोई भी recruiter होगा Google का that's handling your application is responsible to answer your questions like these. कि तुम्हें टाइम कितना है, क्या टॉपिक्स पे क्वेश्चन होंगे, क्या वो रिक्रूटर आपका हायरिंग डिसीजन कभी भी नहीं करता. वो रिक्रूटर डिसाइड नहीं करेगा कि आप हायर हो नहीं, हायरिंग का वो डिसीजन कोई और करेगा. रिक्रूटर इज जस्ट टू फैसिलिटेट द प्रोसेस एंड हेल्प यू आंसर दीज क्वेश्चंस दैट यू हैव. यू कैन इजीली आस्क कि कितना टाइम है मेरे पास, मैं कितना टाइम ले सकता हूँ, कौन से टॉपिक्स पढ़ूंगा, एंड इंटरव्यू फॉर्मेट क्या होगा, ब्ला ब्ला, एंड दैट पर्सन विल गिव यू अप टू डेट इन्फॉर्मेशन.
अच्छा, मेरा लास्ट क्वेश्चन ये कि क्या फ्रेशर अप्लाई कर सकते हैं गूगल में सिर्फ पाकिस्तान से?
So again, it's there are like, we have like hundreds of roles, not in all the roles 100%, but there are some roles that yes 100%, and there's some roles you can apply.
मेरा भी एक क्वेश्चन है रसलान, मैं पूछना चाह रहा था कि लाइक मास्टर्स रिक्वायर नहीं है ना गूगल में जॉब करने के लिए ऐसा कि अगर मैं बैचलर्स करता हूँ एंड मेरे पास अच्छा स्किल एक्सपीरियंस है, मेरे पास एक्सपीरियंस है,
Exactly. तो उन्होंने लिखा होता है
वैसे काम किया है.
Exactly. If you read the requirements properly, like again, this is clear in the requirements. उन्होंने लिखा है कई roles में लिखा होता है master's degree required, उनमें required है, ठीक है. कई roles में लिखा होता है master's degree or equivalent experience, right? So it's there. Trust me, these answers you will get. If you go to careers page, if you read it properly, thoroughly for a few roles, you will get these answers, and that you can trust that more than my words. And also because एक और बात है ना, it's really hard for me to say generically कि masters नहीं required होता या required होता है, because there are like hundreds of roles. कुछ roles में कुछ roles में PhD requirement है. PhD के बगैर वाले apply भी नहीं कर सकते. कुछ roles में है, कुछ roles में degree भी नहीं चाहिए होती. So like it varies so much. So that's what I wanna add here. But yeah, so I can give you high level answers, but specific details, do make sure to check the careers page. I think कोई भी हो, this goes not only for Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, like yeah, all of them. They're very similar, very similar. Okay. Any other questions?
अरसलान भी
Hello,
मैं और क्वेश्चन करना चाहूँगा.
Yes, go ahead.
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि आपने ओपन सोर्स के बारे में बात की थी, तो ओपन सोर्स में मैंने उसके बारे में कुछ महीनों से मैं देख ही रहा था हल्का फुल्का, मतलब थोड़ा बहुत देखा था, और उसके बाद ये जो एक आया था समर ऑफ हैस्कल भी एक आया हुआ था, उसमें मैंने ट्राई किया, उसके बाद मैंने कोशिश की कि मैं अगर अप्लाई करूं और कुछ आ जाएगा, लेकिन बाद उसमें एप्लीकेशन देते वक्त ही हमें उसमें कहा गया, जहाँ तक मुझे समझ आई, कि आपने पहले से वो सारा कुछ सर्च वगैरह करके आपने एक प्रोजेक्ट उठाना होता है और आप उसमें बताते हो कि आप फलां में कंट्रीब्यूट करोगे। तो अगर मेरे जैसा बंदा जिसको बिल्कुल जीरो है इस चीज़ में, जिसने पहले कोई इन चीज़ों में नहीं घुसा हुआ था, अभी हम इस चीज़ में आ रहे हैं, तो हम कैसे एक चीज़ उठाएं, मतलब बिल्कुल जीरो है, मतलब कुछ नहीं पता कि हमने कंट्रीब्यूट करना क्या है। वैसे मैंने सुना हुआ है कि कहते हैं कि सिर्फ कोडिंग में कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं होती, वो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन भी होता है और भी सारी चीज़ें होती हैं, वो सब चीज़ें हैं, उस सब चीज़ की मतलब समझ है, लेकिन एक्चुअल में स्टेप क्या है, पहले करे क्या बंदा, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी इतने एग्जिस्टिंग ज़ाहिर सी बात है कंट्रीब्यूटर्स वहाँ पे बैठे हुए हैं, और वो अब मतलब हम ये बात करें ना कि गूगल के कोड में जाकर हम कोई चेंज करें और वो अप्रूव हो, लाइक इट इज अ बिग थिंग। तो
एग्जैक्टली कंप्लीटली एग्री, लेकिन ट्रस्ट मी काम ज्यादा है और कंट्रीब्यूटर्स कम है 100%, एंड दैट्स गोना बी ट्रू फॉरएवर।
ठीक वो ठीक है, लेकिन मैं पूछना चाह रहा हूँ कि मतलब ऐसा मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, मतलब ऑब्वियसली वो जो वहाँ पे है वो सही है तभी वो चल रहा है ना, मतलब उसमें कुछ गलत थोड़ी है।
हाँ नहीं ओके सो आई गेट योर क्वेश्चन। सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मैंने एक लिंक पेस्ट किया चैट में, दैट इज बेसिकली इसमें लिस्ट ऑफ रिपोजिटरीज दी हुई हैं जो कि बिगिनर्स के लिए काफी फ्रेंडली है, ठीक है। अब हर रिपोजिटरी का, अच्छा लेट्स एक्चुअली गो थ्रू बिकॉज़ इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट, आई कैन एक्चुअली शेयर माय स्क्रीन एंड गो थ्रू इट a bit. So you pick a language, कौन सी language आती है, for example if you are C++, right? So ये projects हैं C++ के, right? Can everybody see my screen? मैं बड़ा कर लेता हूँ थोड़ा, ठीक है। तो C++ के ये projects हैं, and you go to this projects and you see that हाँ ये code सही चल रहा है, agreed. Then you see issues, 823 issues with this code. कुछ bugs हैं, कुछ feature requests हैं, right? And now if you go उन्होंने बताया actually sorry यहाँ पे बताया होता है कौन सा label, good first issue label है, ठीक है। So when you go to here, go to issues, and when you go here, if I search like this, do I find it? No, I think I need to find it not like this. Label search करने पड़ेंगे मुझे, labels में जाऊँ मैं अगर, और labels में search करूँ good first issue, नहीं आ रहा, wow. First so I'm looking for an issue जो कि beginner friendly हो काफी ज्यादा, नहीं, इन्होंने labels डाले होते हैं इन्होंने, let me just try to find if I can find any other labels. If you can't find that, then अगर इन्होंने label नहीं किया, कुछ लोग label नहीं करते सही तरह, so then it can also be that you pick one by yourself, then doesn't matter. Like for example, you go through the list of it, right? You try to read about it. शुरू में शायद समझ ना आए, एक enhancement probably simple होती हैं, या bug fixes probably थोड़ी simple होते हैं, so you don't need to go for feature request, and you try to do that. Let me pick another repository, I think जिन्होंने proper issues mentioned. I know कुछ JavaScript की repositories हैं उन्होंने किए हुए हैं, क्योंकि मैंने ऑलरेडी वो इस्तेमाल किए हुए हैं. Babel is one. Needs triage, good first issue. A good first issue, right? So you see, ये दो उनके लिए बहुत अच्छी, उनके लिए बहुत सही है जो पहली दफा contribute कर रहे हैं, right? And you can go and contribute to them, and yes, and अभी तक तुम्हें पता है किन लोगों ने already try किया हुआ है, कुछ लोग try नहीं करते, कुछ लोग examples देते हैं, इस तरह solve करना है, ये possible solution हो सकता है. If you don't understand, ask a question and people will respond, right? And that's how you really go ahead with it. And every repository you'll see hundreds of issues, and you can try to solve them.
समझ आ गया, confusion clear होगी, thank you.
No worries. Okay, no, this is important. That's why I wanted to like show it and share with you. Okay, what else do we have? Any other questions?
Okay, Arslan, can you please share your GitHub profile?
मैंने काफी देर से कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं किया लेकिन still sure I
No
can still
issues, no issues, no issues.
GitHub I think sudo Arslan, yeah, I think that's the one. Okay, yes, any other
Yes.
thing?
Yeah,
Hmm?
yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I have basically two questions. Firstly, in our student life, should we focus on freelancing on the side to build? After what semester and what year should we start applying for internships? Thank you.
Okay. The first question, freelancing helps a lot. Yes, freelancing way. Again, if you do freelancing, you'll find freelancing projects that are very simple but make you money. Right. Also there are freelancing projects that are harder. Maybe so go for the harder project, and as you learn, don't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Just try to go for harder projects so that you push yourself and you learn more. Freelancing, it's easy to get like make similar websites over and over again and make money, and not that doesn't help. That's good for money if that's what your goal is. But if your goal is growth and learning, then that would not happen. But yes, freelancing is a great way to also earn money, but you have to be very selective about the projects. Secondly, the other thing is the second question is about what year you should start applying for internships. As soon as you ideally first year start applying, because applying में क्या cost है? Your 30 minutes, so your 30 minutes will application में 30 minutes लगते हैं, 40 minutes लगते हैं, maybe an hour. So apply whenever you think you are like. So always people underestimate people. कई लोग करते नहीं है, because I for example I didn't apply to Google for until very late. I thought I wasn't ready, but when I applied, the process was just so smooth and so straightforward. I was like, why didn't I apply earlier? So we always sometimes underestimate ourselves. We're like, why? So apply early, get rejected, and then you'll know, okay, I'm not ready. Don't assume that you're not ready. So you can only say that you are not ready for a particular job or a particular internship if you get rejected, right? Otherwise, other sorry assumptions is all in your head. You're just assuming that you don't know, or you're not good enough, you can't learn fast enough, or you're not experienced enough, blah blah. That's all in your head. Just validate those assumptions by getting rejected,
Okay, so
and then try
which type of internships do you think would be better? Remote internships or in-person internships? Or should we apply for both types of internships?
both. I don't think there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference about both.
If we
100%.
get selected in both types, then which one should we prefer?
Again, that depends on a lot of what type of work you're doing, right? I mean, if one is in person, slightly better. If everything else is the same, then in person is slightly better. But there's so many other variables, right? What projects you work on, what technology you're working on, what kind of manager you have, how good is your manager, what kind of team members you have, what is your work timings, how flexible it is, how much learning opportunities you have. There's so many other variables that I can't just compare based on in person or remote. But if everything else is the same, then in person is slightly better.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम अरसलान भाई।
वालेकुम।
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि आपने जो है बीएस की डिग्री की हुई है कंप्यूटर साइंस में या मास्टर्स की?
मैंने बीएससी किया, तो मैं अपनी मैंने बीएससी की थी, उसके बाद मैंने 2 साल काम किया था, मैंने मास्टर्स नहीं किया। 2 साल मैंने काम किया था, फिर मेरे एक दोस्त ने मुझे ज़बरदस्ती कहा कि यार तुम गूगल में अप्लाई करो, तो मुझे उसने बहुत ज़ोर लगाया। मेरा नहीं इरादा था करने का, लेकिन उसने मुझे एक रात, मैं उसे डिनर में गया था उसके साथ, उसने मुझे कन्विंस कर दिया। मैं घर आके I was like, it was what I just opened careers.google.com and I just applied to 2-3 positions, and then I closed the page. And it took me like 10 minutes. That's it. I didn't spend more than 10 minutes. I didn't my CV was already there. I didn't update I didn't do anything special for Google. Cover letter Google ke application mein mangte. I didn't even write that. I just applied, and then I got the interview. So clearly, like, I was in मुझे वही था कि अच्छा maybe I'm not good enough, I shouldn't apply. Though I think काफी लोगों को होता है, तो इसलिए I say apply early when validate that I used to think I'm not good enough, but I never validated that as an assumption. It was in my head. When I started going through the interview process, I realized, oh, okay, it's not that bad.
अच्छा, आपके फ्यूचर में मास्टर्स की डिग्री परस्यू करने के कोई प्लान्स हैं?
मैंने कोर्सेज लिए हुए हैं, मुझे एक दाद है, मुझे एक डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड सिस्टम्स का कोर्स मुझे अच्छा लगा था, मैंने वो एक कोर्स ले लिया था ऐसे ही, आई मीन ऑनलाइन, just for fun. I think I might take courses, but I may never do the degree. मैं courses लेता रहूँ, because for me, personally, degree itself doesn't matter, but I'd highly value the learnings in the master's program. So I'll take some courses on the side, just continue learning, or read some books, read master's books or whatever, but not really do the degree maybe.
यस, आई टोटली एग्री। मैं भी ये कंसिडर करता हूँ कि यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में जब एग्ज़ाम्स वगैरह होते हैं तो लिमिटेशंस होती हैं, मतलब किसी चीज़ में आप इंटरेस्टेड होते हो, किसी चीज़ में नहीं होते हो, तो अगर मास्टर्स करने के बजाय आप जिस फील्ड में इंटरेस्टेड हो आगे उसको परस्यू करना चाहते हो तो आप उसके सेल्फ लर्निंग कर सकते हो उसमें।
Yeah, exactly. I mean, masters is also very beneficial, I think. मैं नहीं कहूँगा कि beneficial नहीं है, मेरा अपना personal opinion था. Master is also in some cases it can work. अगर आपको sure हो कि I need to really learn this field and I'm really excited about this, और उससे job opportunity better होती है, मेरे लिए career wise मेरे ज़्यादा benefit नहीं होगा masters का, मेरे लिए personally. But कुछ लोगों के लिए definitely हो सकता है. People who want to go to research, people who want to go into like more research related positions या किसी और फील्ड में है, उनके लिए मास्टर्स बहुत बेनिफिशियल भी हो सकता है. तो आई थिंक, बट if you're a software engineer, I would say don't do masters just for the degree. Do it for the learnings. That's more important.
अच्छा, एक और क्वेश्चन था मेरा कि हम फ्रीलांसिंग वर्सेस जॉब, हम किसको ज़्यादा प्रेफरेंस दें?
Yeah, again, I would say if you have a good job in which you are learning, because job kuch benefits hote hain. Job ke benefits hote hain कि you work on the same thing for a longer period of time, and you are you can make a decision, you learn from that mistakes, you make a decision again, you improve on, you can continue improving the same thing, and you get feedback on that as well. So that feedback thing is very important. We have a permanent manager that tracks your progress, and okay, in the last 6 months you have gone from this to this, right? So you have a manager that gives you feedback. You work with people senior than you. If you are early in your career, make sure you work with people that are much senior than you. And that's something that is very hard to do in freelancing.
Okay.
Right? Either you work, or either you freelancing, you partner with someone who's very senior than you, because again, मैंने कहा learning rate 10 times बढ़ जाता है, right? But in a job, there are jobs that are terrible, right? There are jobs where your manager is not helping you grow. There are jobs when the work is very shit, you're doing the same thing again and again. तो उससे फिर कुछ नहीं सीखने को मिलता, तो उससे बेहतर है freelancing, right? So, but ideally, try early in your career, try to find someone, your manager or someone you're working with who's like way ahead of you, who's way senior than you, who knows a lot more, who you personally look up to, who's your ideal, who's your role model. Work with that person.
गूगल में अगर हमें जॉब मिल जाती है, देन उसके बाद हम तब अपनी मास्टर की डिग्री कंटिन्यू करना चाहें या हम मास्टर के लिए जाना चाहें, तो क्या गूगल हमें इतनी पोर्टेबिलिटी देता है कि हम साथ में जॉब एंड मास्टर इकट्ठा कर सकते हैं, या हमें गूगल को छोड़ना पड़ेगा मास्टर्स करने के लिए?
That's I think you can do part-time masters. Google will not pay for it fully. It will pay like, I think, 2/3 of it, but you can do it while part-time. But again, you will have to work. Google में काम करने के in addition you have to do it. ये नहीं कि Google से छुट्टी लेके वो नहीं होगा. Mostly, I haven't seen it. I can be wrong. At least that's just my experience. I haven't seen that happening. लोग part time करते हैं, but that's common with a lot of companies. You can do part time masters with it, but you work with Google. You work at Google normally, and बस शाम को आप क्लास लेते हो.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Wow, I love the questions. There were so amazing questions. I say, this is really amazing.
So
Any? I think we have almost reaching 2 hours.
yeah,
Uh,
we have already hit 2 hours mark.
2 hours exactly.
Yeah,
Uh, I, so do you want to wrap up?
yeah, I think
मेरा
so.
लास्ट क्वेश्चन ये कि
Yeah, go ahead.
Good.
ये कि कोई कंप्लीट रोड मैप बता दें कि जिस तरह बड़ी कंपनी बिग टेक कंपनी है, फैन हो गया, गूगल हो गया, इसको कैसे टारगेट कर सकें, यानी कि कोई कंप्लीट कोई रोड मैप आप बता दें कि ये करो, ये स्टेप फॉलो करो तो अब आप इस कंपनी में अप्लाई कर सकते हैं इस
For software engineer positions.
यस सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग.
Okay, so again, the roadmap at a high level, as I think that this talk was more about that roadmap as well. Uh, again, it depends on what exact position you apply for. अगर software engineering जो code algorithms or data structure पे जो focus करे, उसके लिए of course you need to learn doing the data structures, open source contributions, building your own projects, right? These three things will look really amazing on your CV, and then apply. And when you go to careers.google.com's page, then you actually वही minimum requirements वो आपकी checklist होती है, वही roadmap है. Once you check up all those items, you're ready to apply. And उस किस order में करना है, कैसे करना है, that's totally up to you.
उधर वहाँ पे जो लोकेशन का होता है, जिस तरह ये पैसिफिक लोकेशन यूएस और ये इधर के लिए होती है, क्या उधर भी हम अप्लाई कर सकते हैं पाकिस्तान में रहते हुए?
Definitely कर सकते हो.
थैंक यू सर.
Definitely कर सकते हो. Don't look away. Don't shy away from that.
थैंक यू सर.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
Well, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Walaikum assalam.
असलान देखें, शुरू में जो फर्स्ट ईयर के स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं, आई एम फर्स्ट ईयर, आई हैव आल्सो मेट यू एट NCBAE. वी वर द वन टू सी यू ऑफ विद मास.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah, I remember vaguely. Yeah. I don't see your face. तो मुझे सही है कि तस्वीर से मुझे लग रहा है. देखा लग रहा हूँ.
Let me open my camera. If
Okay.
you can see me, the light is very.
No, it's fine. I can see you. Yes.
So my question is that as we are first year students, for me, so हमारी क्लास में बहुत से बच्चे हैं, including me. हम coders, we know coding, we know the syntax, we know everything, but we want to be programmers. As you know, coding and programming is a different technique all in itself. So when did that transition occur to you, or what do you suggest? How do we do that transition?
So that transition started occurring for me like I went from theory to the real world, basically. That's what you mean, right? From a theoretical programming, theoretical coding to the real world.
Yes.
That transition happened to me when I was in my second year, and my friend was building this HR system for one company, and I was sitting with him, and I was like, okay, इस semester में पर courses थोड़े से कम है और time ज़्यादा है, summers में पर time है, can I help you with this? He was a really nice friend of mine. He was 2-3 years senior than me. He was a really nice friend of mine, and I wanted to help him because he was packed, he was overloaded with a lot of stuff. तो उसके बाद time बहुत कम था, project थोड़ा मुश्किल था, तो मैंने कहा यार देखो मुझे आता तो कुछ नहीं है, लेकिन I can spend some time with you, I can learn and I can do it. And he said okay. He gave me access to the code base. It took me like 2-3 weeks really to understand and learn and all that. बहुत अलग लैंग्वेज आती थी मुझे, लेकिन फिर भी काफी टाइम लगा समझने में.
What language was that?
I think it was JavaScript.
Okay. And another silly question, what do you suggest for beginning, C++ or JavaScript?
I think C++ is good to like C++ थोड़ी lower level है, तो उससे आपको सारी एक ज़्यादा visibility मिल जाती है कि what happens when each line of code is executed. JavaScript थोड़ी high level है, तो JavaScript sometimes feels like magic. तो मैंने जैसे अपनी presentation में बताया कि it's really important to understand like when you how things are happening under the hood. So C++ is थोड़ी low level. So learn C. And try to understand the basics of programming, but then I think in JavaScript you can be more productive. So in beginning, if you want to understand programming properly, then learn C. But if that's not a high priority, you want to just build stuff, which is also very important, which is also pretty cool. So you can start with JavaScript. So I would say like learn C first and then move to JavaScript. because half of the it will take you literally a few days or weeks to learn JavaScript after you've done C. It's like it gets very simple. C++ is very hard once you learn C++. After that, everything looks easy.
Okay. Lastly, I want to thank you for joining us at NCBA. After you left after the event, the students talked a lot. You had a great impact on the students.
Thank you. That warms my heart. That warms my heart. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Jazakallah,
No,
Jazakallah.
I love that you guys enjoy the session, and I mean questions are amazing. I love the questions, and बड़ा मुझे मजा आता है कि बड़े interesting questions होते हैं. So that's really fun. I'm
Jazakallah.
happy.
Thank you for answering.
Thank you so much, Umar. Let's wrap up.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
yeah,
if you have any other questions, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or and
yeah, I
just
have already shared your LinkedIn.
perfect.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Arslan bhai. It was really insightful.
It
I
was really
learned a lot. Like there's a lot of concepts. There's a lot of information you
Mhm.
shared today that I learned that things work in this way. Even
Yeah,
like I'm a student as well. I have a dream to work at Google, and
inshallah. I'll see you all at Google,
so
inshallah. See you. I want to
got
see most of you there. Yeah,
Inshallah.
inshallah. No, that's great.
I got motivated a lot, and I will work on those things that you mentioned. That I already starting working on those things. I have in touch with some other mentors
Nice.
as well, and
It's good.
they guide me a lot about those things. And I got that I have to work on code skills to build some cool projects, like solving a real world problem. Like if I share, I am currently working on an app
Uh,
that uh, through which your phone will go to the silent mode automatically when you enter
oh,
in library, in masjid, or in your
based on the
department.
location,
So
it will detect the location.
yeah, based on the
Oh,
location.
that is super useful.
Yeah. So
मैं मैं
so
मैं जब मस्जिद में था तो मेरा ये दिमाग होता यार मैंने साइलेंट किया था नहीं किया था वरना इट विल बी वेरी
yeah,
एम्बैरेसिंग अगर फोन बज गया मेरा दैट बी रियली कूल
inshallah.
आई वुड
I
लव
am I am developing the application and so will soon deploy it and will
but
share with
you
you
need to
too.
let me know when you deploy it.
Sure, sure,
I would
sure,
be your
sure.
first customer.
Sure. So,
That is good.
so
That is good.
these things really motivate
Yeah,
me that
100%.
solve a real world problem that you are
Yeah,
facing. Solve
yeah.
with your software development
Skills.
abilities. Like you
Exactly.
mentioned that you have a call problem or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really insightful session. Learned a lot. I hope everyone's learned a lot things from you, and
Yeah.
really gained some really insightful things. And inshallah, we will conduct some more sessions with you in the future, inshallah.
Thank you so
And
much. And
yeah,
Umair, thank you so much for organizing it. I know organizing this is not very easy. So yeah, thank you so much.
yeah,
I love talking to you as well.
yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this session.
Allah
And
Hafiz.
yeah, Asman, Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz, everyone.